So we are speaking to Leonard Verdetto today. Leonard is running for Deer Lake School Board as a school board member. So how are you today?
Doing fantastic. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's always interesting to hear the perspective of the candidates. So we want to talk today about why you're running for school board in Deer Lakes.
Why I'm running for school board for Deer Lakes is because as an American citizen, I want to do my part and step up as the next generation, millennial generation person to do my part to help out the next generation to come. I'm just concerned with the times that we're living in, so I want to do my part where we can correct some things, correct the things that are going into motion right now, and to reestablish to what we used to do as the life and principles that we stand by in this nation.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some major issues that you see facing the Deer Lake School District right now?
Well, one of the things what I've been when I've been going door knocking, one of the things that the issues that the residents have been talking about is bullying, school agendas, and also with taxes, and also just with IEP students. My thing is that I want to try to correct those things, and the priority is definitely keeping the safety of the school, especially the mental safety of our children as well. Nothing to have where education goes off course of distractions, but education being on course of knowing the truth and facts to certain things to keep the kids in a mental stability of knowing history, knowing math, knowing science, knowing writing, knowing cursive, knowing how to, survive in the real world. Survival classes is one of my things that I want to implement in the school. One of the other things too, I want them to know like how to take care of themselves using like with home education, knowing how to cook, knowing how to clean. One of the other things too is what I wanted to learn about is also knowing how to do healthy medicines or to research in healthy medicines that is natural to the body, not these governmented medicines that kind of kills you, which we don't want that. So if they
Okay.
know medicines that can heal the body, that'd be great. The other thing too is I want them to know to be independent thinkers. I want them to be independent thinkers instead of them be relying on what they're told, but to still have a respect to the authority that is still telling them, if that makes sense, but also have a respect with parents, have respect for elders. All those kind of things all connect, but still to be independent thinkers where they can be natural leaders in the future, where they can be business people, where they can be entrepreneurs, anything like that matter. I want them to be ready because I feel like we're being a society, we're going to be programmed to think a certain way while we have to think independently and independent think people, if that makes sense. The other thing too is going to the bullying side of things. I believe that's more on how they're raised as well, because I know parents, it depends on how the parent is raising them. I understand the school can teach or at least a respect or if a moral view on things, but at the same time, that's more the parent's job to tell them if the child is right or if their child is doing wrong, but there is still disciplinary action with the school needs to let the parents know and so they can be corrected the right way.
Absolutely. You said agendas, and I kind of want to expand on that a little bit. So you said that people, when you're door knocking, people are saying that they're having an issue with agendas. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, the one thing that the especially some of the kids that have spoken up to, it's not like a large mass, but there is a small mass that kids that actually told me when I was going door to door. It's about with the gender identity, even with the CRT stuff that's going on, and it's nothing where it's extreme at our own district, but it's where it's lightly being implemented. It's sneaking it in, and I know there are some that already heard me talk about the ASA Learning Vision 2025, which is basically a social emotional learning. In a When you read it, it looks like okay, I can see what they're coming to, like in a human perspective, if that makes sense. But on a spiritual perspective and in a true identity perspective on certain things, the wording is basically being beautifulized where it seems okay, but it's actually not. It's making the words look like they're good, but actually in the long run, it's not gonna benefit the kids. It's basically marginalizing racists. It's basically getting towards where they're gonna go to gender identity on the children, which is not a good thing. What the children need to know is again just knowing their ABCs and one, two, threes.
Right.
That's the main thing. Um, because the problem is it's more of a one-sided agenda instead of being an overall agenda where it benefits the whole kids, if not the whole people. I don't believe people want to be paying their tax dollars to something where kids are not really learning. They're mostly going off by feelings and emotion. They need to learn by truth and facts, like I stated.
Absolutely. So, what kind of specific suggestions would you have to improve things in Deer Lake School District?
But one of the things I have to want to improve is basically getting the kids ready for the real world. I believe that we're a society that's trying to protect the kids, if not shelter the kids the wrong way. Don't get me wrong, safety is important, but the problem is there's no such thing as safe spaces in the real world. The real world's basically going to challenge you, it's going to headbutt you, it's basically going to cream you down to where you're like, you had enough, but you can't give up. So that's why, like, I want to implement with those survival classes. That's why I want to implement, how to knowing about farming. That's why I want to know how to knowing healthy medicines towards the human body. That's the stuff that I want to implement into our agenda. Because the thing is, the way the country is going, the way things are going, is that the our society is becoming weaker, and we're getting too comfortable. But because when a challenge does come up within our nation, if not in a holistic view, if a country tries to, overpowers us, it doesn't matter if it's from the outside or within. We need to be prepared to fight and stand up for what we believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you feel for students in school? What do you feel that the role of the school district is when they're teaching kids about topics like sex education, cyber safety, AIDS, wellness, bullying? How do you feel that the school plays a role in that? And, what would you do to kind of alter whatever that role is, if at all, or improve that role?
Correct. Yeah. One thing about the sex education is it's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. And what I personally believe and the best way of doing it is helping kids to learn about abstinence, because going to the AIDS part, that's where AIDS come about. Because
Right.
when you practice, sexual morality, or you're going jumping around person to person, and that's the problem with this newer generation, even with my own. uh, this generation had a lot of partners. This generation has been carelessly giving into another person, to another person.
Right.
So again, practicing abstinence and having a moral standard on things can really restrict, if not lower, those possibilities of getting diseases, especially with the AIDS part, because that's where it came about. I know like the 1980s was like the big discovery of AIDS.
Right.
So that's still ongoing. But I really encourage that with the sex education that we can, preach about, teaching about abstinence to these kids, if not installing a little bit of a pure fear in them, where it's like, okay, I don't want to have sex till I meet that right woman or meet that right man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that honestly, that's more special. That's more special at the end of the day. But the thing is, going to the basics of sex education. Back when I was at Hampton High School, that's where I graduated from. They taught sex education and wellness classes around eighth or ninth grade,
Mhm.
and it taught us basically about basic biology. Like with between a male and a female, that was it. But now they're talking about that, but they're kind of spicing things up with differences of other certain things, other genders that are not on that topic. And that's, I know like some of the people that do not agree with me, that's, if you come to a common sense or a common knowledge area, it's a little bit extreme to think like this is not the facts, if not this is the basics of how reproduction happens. Because if people are for like in science, that's how
Science.
science is. Yeah, that's how science is, and that's how science works, and we're kind of deriving away from that because again, going back to the identity stuff is very it causes confusion, you know. I mean, and again, going to the tax dollar side of things, I don't want my tax dollars when I have my own children someday. I don't want my tax dollars going into something where my kids do not know the basics on things. Um, but the cybersecurity, and that's a great question because the cybersecurity, uh, kids need to know that whatever you look up, especially on your phone, your phone is the gateway to a lot of things these days. And you need to have virus protections. You need to have things that you've got to watch out what you open because that can leak into things where hackers can get into your phone. They can watch you. That could people can hack into your computers. I mean, quite frankly, I already believe that we're already being watched as it is with these phones that we have. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
already
they hear
probably
everything I say.
yeah, it's probably already too late, but my point is that if the kids can know a basics of computer science with the cyber attacks or cybersecurity, I think that'd be beneficial if they want to do a career like that. Because I know a friend that's got in that direction, and it's a really good field to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you think to make like a curriculums like around that, like almost like a tech course that would teach them that to give them those skills?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all for that. I mean, you're talking to a guy that done robotics and mechatronics and biology, and even I've been in the robotics field for about 6 years. Now I'm in a different technology spectrum of like doing doors and windows with hurricane safety and also storm safety, like the testing the standards on making reliable structures of doors and windows for industrial buildings or commercial buildings. uh, I really encourage kids that want to go that direction in the field of computer science or robotics because that's the direction how this world is going towards now.
Right.
And I really believe that one of the things that I do agree with my school district is that they do a WBA Career Center, which I went to when I went back in Hampton. And that is a really good school of getting hands-on experience, knowing the computer sciences like we're talking about, knowing the robotics, knowing HVAC, knowing cosmetology, knowing maintenance on vehicles, like all of that is, and even carpentry, like the trades is a very big key of having that hands-on skill set, which is starting to be lost actually. So I encourage that to still happen, even if we implement it in our school district to have that as the an optional of elective. That'd be great.
Right. Absolutely. Well, Leonard, thank you so much for meeting with me. And I hope that you get on the school board and change the world and fix it all.
Well, hey, it's going to take a team. It's I will keep my promises. What I'm doing. I'm a new guy in politics, but the thing is, everyone has humble beginnings, but the thing is, it seems like politics and power and greed changes people. And quite frankly, I do not want to be like that. I want to keep to where I remember where I came from and to share that, and also to even share my knowledge and to share my ideas where we can create a stronger community and even hopefully a stronger nation. So we just got to work together. And again, bring power to the people, and that's what we got to do.